What's up, y'all? We back at it with another chapter of Dandadan Chapter 197. Hey, look, this has got to be the wildest and most craziest fight in this entire series. I don't know. Maybe it's just me that feel like that, but the fact that you fighting a typhoon with flying sharks in the air and you got giant worms, like, this just feels like the craziest battle we've had in this series. And this series has had some crazy ass battles. I can't be the only one feeling like this, man, but we about to get into it, man. But first, gotta remind you guys, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell for all notifications. Thumb it up if you rock with the video, thumb it down if you don't, man. As long as you engage, I'm happy. But let's get into it. So of course, you know, the chapter starts off where we got I'm gonna just call her Mom from right now, Ma. You know, you got Ma on top of her giant worm along with her kids, and they're shooting, these kids are grown men, but her children are with her, and they're shooting sharks into the typhoon in the hopes of freezing the air, causing the typhoon to dissipate. That's their whole plan and their agenda. Now, from this first panel, the mom looked like she's in a safe position. I can understand why she would be there. She's on top of the worm head, firing these shocks off. Now, when it comes to the kids, her kids, man, there is no way in hell I would be clinging on to the worm like that, trying to survive at that altitude. This is when I would be like, hey, look, Mom, you do what you got to do to try to stop the typhoon. I'm going to wait in the plane where I think it's safe. I'm not saying it's safe, but I think it's a lot safer than being this high in the air, squeeze into the back of a worm, hoping I don't get blown off. Nah, bro, I'm not doing it. I'm sorry. Call me a coward. Call me abandoning my family. Yo, I'm waiting inside the plane. That's insane to me. But of course, you got it where they're constantly shooting sharks. You got it where Gigi as well as Momo, they're observing from the plane window. You even have it where, Gigi is kind of like giving props to the worm. He's like, yo, this thing is crazy. This is amazing, man. Like, yo, I know I shouldn't feel this way because it's an enemy and I'm supposed to hate it, but the worm going in. And then you even got it where Momo asks, why isn't the worm freezing? And I feel like the past few chapters when it comes to this whole typhoon stuff really been making me think of Dr. Stone, how they kind of educate us as the chapter goes on. And you have it where the mom says like, yo, don't underestimate my worm. He burrows on the ground, so he's used to cold temperature. And some of y'all might not know this, but a lot of animals, they burrow into the ground to escape the heat of the sun. Back in the day, before modern technology, people used to store their raw meat underground because of how cool it was. So her saying that her worm is used to it due to growing up underground, it makes perfect sense to me. But it probably is some people that still disagree with this with this statement. Well, anyway, you got it where the worm is constantly attacking. Then a big hole ends up, a beam comes out of nowhere and attacks the plane, making a big hole. And it's like, the air pressure is released and is sucking everybody out. Gigi as well as Momo are both being caught by the air pressure or the air tunnel, and they're sucked out of the plane. Gigi actually, he tries to grab onto Momo, but he misses. And then you have it where, it looks like this may be the end of Momo. But in this situation, I'm like, yo, use your powers to grab onto the plane. Why didn't she do that? Unless she was somewhat unconscious or dazed in this moment from being sucked out the plane. But if she did do that, we wouldn't have this epic moment right here where you have Zuma popping up, transformed. Hey, yo, I don't know who transformation I like better, Zuma or Okarun. Like, they're both dope as hell. They both is dope as hell. Let me know down below who got the better transformation. Let me know. I'm very curious because they almost look the same, but just fact that he got those flying umbrellas, those futas, I just think it makes his just a little bit better. Not by much, but just a little bit better. But you have it where he stabs one of his futas into the plane, and then he opens the other one to catch Momo from being, blown away from the explosion. And of course, you got it where Gigi actually calls out to Zuma. He asks if Momo's okay. And remember, these two guys, they're not the closest of friends. They're not the best of friends. So for him to actually speak to him and thank him for what he did, it shows a little bit of growth for Gigi, but at the same time, it's mainly because he's concerned for Momo. But of course, Gigi uses that to save her. He grabs her And next thing you know is where Zuma's about to be sucked away by the wind and all the speed, all the air pressure up there on top of the plane. And you have it where Gigi grabs onto a part of the plane and then grabs the arm of Zuma to save his life. Now keep in mind, some people might say like, oh man, they patched things up, but I feel like he only did that because Momo was involved in the situation. Well, I don't know, Gigi ain't the type to just let a random person die. So either way, I feel like he probably would have grabbed the hand. But anyway, you got it where the kids Ma is asking like, yo, how many damn sharks do we gotta shoot in the direction of the typhoon? Like, this is endless. And you got it when Momo's yelling at them, don't stop. And so of course they constantly keep shooting sharks towards the location of the typhoon. But then you see the floating nose that's within the typhoon with 2 sharks up its nose. Now when I first saw this, I'm like, they must have accidentally shot sharks up the nose of this little floating, up the nose nostrils of this floating nose. And then, like I said, this is a bizarre chapter to talk about. It's messing me up. And then you have it where, this nose like sneezes or blows out the sharks, similar to what the worm is doing in the direction of the worm, and they manage to split through the worm. And you have it where the worm is about to float away, being torn apart. But Momo uses her abilities to actually grab the worm and kind of, use her abilities to like make the worm into like a kite. And at this point, the plane is getting further away from them. I'm imagining the plane is going to circle back because remember, Seiko is on that plane, so she's going to probably turn it around and head back towards Momo and Gigi and them. But you have it where the worm is floating in the air. Everyone's holding on to the worm, and you have it where they keep going higher and higher. And Momo says like, yo, we ain't going to be able to make it to the destination if we don't stop this typhoon. So we need to take this thing out first and then worry about getting back to the plane. And of course, with the worm floating in the air, thanks to Momo ability, kind of making it into like a kite, you have it where they go above that. They keep raising up in the altitude and they get above the actual typhoon, and you see this giant eye, and they're saying like, yo, we got to get to the eye of the typhoon to actually take it out. And I'm not gonna lie, this very last panel with the eye at the top, like the detail just looks amazing. Like I wanted to make this the thumbnail, but I feel like some people would have saw this and been like, what the hell is going on in Dandadan? But for me, the level of detail in this panel with the eye and the, being in the middle of the storm, the typhoon, it just really looked like something you would see from One Punch Man, like the level of detail. Like this is like a One Punch Man type of panel, and it could be me that just feel like it, but it really does just look like something from that. Like, and I'm curious who's in control of this typhoon. Is it a character we already are aware of, or is it someone new? And with the way things are going on, it seems as if Ma may actually become an ally to Momo and her gang. Now, she might still consider them to be enemies after this, but just on how they're working together, it just feels like, that hatred is starting to fade between the two groups. And it could be me overreading. But you guys can let me know how y'all feel about it. Do you think she will become an ally? Granted, what she did is some unforgivable stuff, but people do change, and perhaps this is her path towards redemption. Maybe by the end of this arc, she may see them as an ally and try to live a better life and repent for her sins. But I don't know. You guys can let me know down below. If you like this video though, make sure you thumb it up, subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications. Also, let me know, is this the wildest battle we've had in Dandadan so far? Let me know, and I'll catch y'all in the next one, man. Peace.